Hello, welcome to the Quick Start Guide for raising and issuing invoices. For this exercise, we will learn how to raise an invoice and also how to issue it directly to our clients via email using the Crunch platform. Please do note, this video will only cover the essentials that we need to get started. For this session, you will have needed to set up your clients in the account first. So if you've not yet seen the video on how to create your clients, I'd strongly recommend watching that before proceeding with this one. However, at the end of this session, we will provide some additional information and links to other resources that you may find helpful. Now, firstly, you'll need to navigate to the Sales tab, as seen here, which should then take you onto a dashboard. So your view should be like this. You've then got a few different methods to raise the invoice. You can either do it through this blue button here, the plus new invoice, or you've got this button over here to the right as well. Alternatively, you can also go into the Invoices sub-tab and you've got the new invoice button to the right as well. This just gives you a few different ways of creating them. It's entirely up to you, whichever you find easier. The processes are going to be the same regardless. So what we now need to do is create the data for the invoice. So this is going to be things like the client we're working with, a description of the services we're providing, and of course the amounts that we're going to be charging them for that service as well. So we need to select the new invoice button first. You'll then see this drop-down menu here, Invoice to. So where are you sending the invoice? So if I select this, I'm going to press BBC. However, you'll also see that you've got a new client button here. So if you get to this stage and you realize you haven't actually created the client yet, don't panic. You can just press this button, create the client data, and then it will take you back to the invoice so that you can carry on as normal. Now, as I move down, I now need to enter some invoice details. So the invoice currency, which you'll notice I still have flexibility to change the currency should I ever need to, but I'm going to keep this in pound sterling. I then need to put the date in. The payment terms, again, I've still got the flexibility to change this, but I'm going to leave that as 14 days. And as I move on down here, you've got this section, the invoice options, as well as the invoice line items. Now, I'll touch down on this one first. So do the amounts already include VAT? Now, if I check this box and then select add line item, this is going to allow me to simply send an invoice to my client that's inclusive of VAT. So I'll show you this example now. Automatically selected standard VAT for me because the Crunch system has recognized that my business is VAT registered, so I'm happy with that. I'm then going to put the gross amount here of £1,000. When I press save, you'll notice that it actually separates the VAT element for me. So it's still kept it as £1,000, but I don't have to work out anything at all. I can just let Crunch do the job for me. Alternatively, should I uncheck this box and using exactly the same example, same amount as well, keep the VAT as standard as it should be. On this occasion, when I press save, you'll see it's actually added VAT on top. So the £1,000 is for my work, and then it's adding 20% as it should do. So I'm going to leave that one as it is for now. So £1,000 plus 20% VAT. You'll also notice that it's automatically checked the box to include my banking details for me. That's due to the way that I've set up this particular client in the system, so I'm going to leave that as it is. As I move down again, it's automatically checked the box for the late payment reminders. Now these buttons here at the bottom, so save as draft. Now a draft allows you to edit or delete if you do notice that there's an error. You could also use it for a quote, for example. So if you are just sending out prospect invoices to new clients, for example, you can just save it as a draft and then you can delete or amend it if needs be. The other button here, preview and issue, when I select this one, it's going to give me an overview of what the invoice is going to look like. So I can do a very, very quick review, make sure that the data is accurate. But if I'm satisfied with this, I can go to issue and email invoice. Once I've selected this, I can determine if I've got multiple contacts who is going to receive this. So I'm going to send it to everyone. And in the email subject, these are dynamic fields. So where it says invoice number, that will automatically populate the correct number once it's been issued. And the content at the bottom is just the body of the email. So you can edit this to whatever you want it to be as well. I'm happy with this though, so I'm going to press send. go. So I get confirmation that it's been issued and sent to the client. But if I scroll down slightly, you'll also see the invoice here now, and it's showing as outstanding as it should do. So all I'm now doing is just waiting to receive the payment for this as well. Now, if you do want to double check whether it has been emailed or on the dates that you sent it originally, you can do that via this tick box here as well. Please do be aware, as a final note on this before we end this session, that invoices should only be raised and issued for work being performed for your client. So you should never raise invoices for things like refunds that you may receive from clients, as it actually has a detrimental effect on the accounting, and you'll end up being taxed on something that you shouldn't be taxed on. Okay. For guidance about recording refunds on invoices, I'd recommend getting in touch with us to discuss, or checking out our guides about raising these. You should also be aware that invoices are based on something called an accrual accounting system. This basically means that as soon as you've issued an invoice, there's going to be corporation tax applied to it immediately. So if you do find that you have any invoices that are mistakes or duplicates, you'll need to consider raising something called credit notes. However, I am going to put together a separate video for this with a lot more detail, so please do feel free to watch that one if you find you have a situation similar to this at the moment. Now, that does complete the session for raising and issuing invoices. However, if you have any questions at all, please do give us a call. Thank you.